Okay. We're giving this video another go. So I recorded this a week ago, but I really didn't like any of the footage I used. I had like 30 minutes of footage and basically all of it was just complete nonsense. So anyways, this is the Offset Yoyo's Deviant. So this is Brandon Vu's company, Offset Yoyos. I believe it's his company. If you don't know, because you're new to the community or you just never really were on YouTube very much or watching reviews, Brandon Vu was basically the reviewer. He was the guy you watched if you wanted a good review on a yo-yo. And for a long time, he really didn't have anybody that would challenge that position. Lorenzio made similar content, and they were kind of like on similar levels, but Brandon Vu generally had more subscribers and was more popular. If you do know Brandon Vu, it's very likely that you know him from TikTok. He's really, really popular for the whole can I do a DNA with chopsticks or with a breadstick type beat, you know? It's what he does now, you know? Not a lot of people really enjoy that content. A lot of people in the yo-yoing community are actually really critical of him for doing this, which is, you know, I get it. You know, people don't enjoy certain types of content. I don't really particularly enjoy the TikTok content, but for me, I look at it as Brandon Vu is advertising yo-yoing and he's getting more people into the hobby, so I think it's cool. It's a little bit disappointing that some of the community may dismiss him nowadays, because a sizable amount of people are going to sleep on the Deviant because it's being used by one of the TikToker guys, you know? Like, the Deviant represents all of the hard work that Brandon Vu has been doing through all of these years. He just dropped a video called I Sell Yo-Yos on the Internet, where he tells the story of starting Offset. And I think it's really telling because he's literally living his dream. That's been the thing. Brandon Vu was always the guy for me, and then he quit for a while, and you know, and now he's living his yo-yoing dream. Yo-yoing isn't just his hobby, it's his life. So, you know, it's kind of a tragedy that the Deviant might be slept on by a lot of people because of his TikTok stigma. Because it really is a good yo-yo. But point is, he's doing great now, and he's made a good yo-yo. So, and something that I know that this yo-yo is similar to, because a friend pointed it out to me, this yo-yo is similar to the word irony. If you're an old fan of Brandon Vu, you probably remember that, you know? So, in some of Brandon Vu's videos, when he would do like, oh, this plays like this plays like that, you know? He would mention the word irony, and he'd mention the drop near. Those were kind of the two things. You know, I grew up watching him. It's what I did, you know? I started this hobby when I was 13, and I'm in my first year of university, and you know, maybe it's just because he's Australian or something, you know? In the modern day, I watch Dank Pods a lot.
Cool, mate. Yeah, my mum says I do pretty good. You know, overclocking.
If you know Dank Pod, you kind of recognize that my format's similar to him. I record things on a desk, and I convey emotions with my hands. And, you know, maybe that's something that just kind of developed over time. Maybe maybe Australian reviewers are just straight up better than American reviewers. I don't know. I don't know. I've always thought that Australian reviewers were they had charm, you know? I will be honest, though. You know, even though the Australian reviewers are great, the Australian Post is not. And let me show you why. So here's my Deviant box, right? Look at this. It's so crushed up. You literally have to do work on it to pull it out. POV, you are Australian Post with my Deviant. Australian Post really came up short with my Deviant, which sucks. Yeah, but you know, Deviant came in okay. I didn't have any problems or anything. I want to talk about this shape. And let me just go grab it real quick. The shutter, they don't have super close profiles. So the Deviant has a bigger diameter and it's more narrow than the shutter. But you can see in the shape of the profile, let me pull these strings out real quick. So the shape of the profile here is like, they kind of both got that H shape where the step starts midway through the walls of the Yoyo. But something that was pointed out to me and something that should be commented on is the thickness of these rims. These rims are thick. They are super thick, like big rims, which isn't a bad thing. I think the reason it plays so good is because it has these big, thick rims, you know? And I think in that respect, I don't really have anything like it, where something has like these big, chonky rims. It plays extremely good either way. It's an incredibly good playing yo-yo. And with Brandon Vu having the notoriety he has, I'm honestly shocked that nobody else has reviewed this. Nobody has done a review on this, not one person. I looked, I checked, there hasn't been a single review, which is shocking because I grew up watching him. When I had the Deviant come in, I took a picture of it and, I tagged Brandon and I said, Deviant came in, it's pretty neat. And then he replied to me, and I don't remember what the context of the conversation was, but I sent him like one of those Giga Chat images, like as a joke, and he didn't get it. And that's not really that important, but I thought it was funny. I'm gonna go play with this, and I'm gonna go tell you how it feels. Okay, so the Deviant is interesting. It's a very unique yo-yo. It has a very extreme design. It's very sharp. It's very angular. It's got a big, response bump. There's a lot of places on it where it's little tiny details that you start to feel in play, right? The yo-yos that I compared it to all have some similar element. The Hydra is a little bit on the extreme side of an H shape with a big response bump, right? And then you have the Optima, which is extreme in the sense that it's got these sharp cuts and it's a very sharp angular yo-yo, and it's got this empty cup and it's got a lot of rim weight, right? And then you have the Shutter, which I have to use to compare to everything, right? We're gonna start with the Hydra comparison. So the Hydra is the monometal version of the Fire Rocks. Well, the Deviant switches directions a little bit easier. They have a similar level of power. The Deviant feels like it lends itself to a more faster, quicker play style. And when I say this, I don't mean that it has like a higher acceleration curve than the Hydra, but it's more like the Deviant is more capable of speed and will handle speed better than the Hydra will. But the Deviant lends itself to a very fast type of play, and it handles that very fast play extremely well. Better than the Hydra, in my opinion, because you switch directions easier, and that quicker switch in directions lets you maintain speed when you bounce off of strings. So in that respect, I think if you really want a speedier yo-yo, maybe go with the Deviant. Then comes the Optima. Something that surprised me was that the Deviant was easier to land tricks on. Just no arguing, just no debating. I was just able to land tricks easier on the Deviant, and I don't know why. The Deviant has a little bit less power, which doesn't surprise me because the Optima is a little bit heavier. They have a similar quick pace in play. They both can handle speed well, and they're not sensitive yo-yos. But when it comes to tiny little, player movements where it's even if it's accidental or some small deliberate movement, the Deviant might be a little bit more sensitive to the movements the player puts into it. Because it's a little bit lighter, right? So, while both yo-yos are fast playing yo-yos, I'd honestly say that the Deviant has a little bit higher of an acceleration curve, meaning it can accelerate faster. But it doesn't lose that intricacy of control. You still keep the control. One thing, which I don't mention a lot, is how it feels with a certain string thickness. The Deviant plays so much better with thick string than the Optima does. I will be honest, the Optima it snags sometimes. It's a little rough, not gonna lie. But finally, and because I always talk about it in every video, the shutter. Comparing the shutter to the Deviant. And this is where my thoughts on the Deviant haven't changed in the week since I recorded the first video. The Deviant makes the shutter feel like it has a limiter on it. So basically, the Deviant, it makes it so the shutter feels lacking in every category. The shutter's more sensitive, it's not as fast, it's not as powerful, it's just... The Deviant makes the shutter feel like it's lacking in power, like it's lacking in speed, like it's lacking in spin time. Just everything, and which is surprising because the shutter is a great yo-yo. I say it's an average yo-yo, but that doesn't mean it's lacking in things that are important. And the Deviant makes it feel like it's lacking in important things, which I would say is a pretty good quality because it literally making a legendary yo-yo feel flawed. I'm really not sure what else to say. I guess if I were to summarize, Shutter isn't capable of the same extreme things that the Deviant is. So there you have it. So if you're sleeping on it because, you know, you're not really into the TikTok content that Brandon Vu posts, and, you know, I get that. If you're not into that sort of thing, I can get how you might want to think, you know, how you might avoid the yo-yo that is featured in all of it, right? You know, you might think, oh, well, it's just something for Zoomers, but that's not true. It's a good yo-yo. It's a great yo-yo. Brandon Vu knocked it out of the park with this thing. He made a great yo-yo. There's one thing I have to say. These rims on the catch, they hurt. So if you have a ruler like nearby, go grab it. And what I need you to do is I need you to start smacking your hand with the ruler. Except I need you to do it with the thin side of the ruler instead of the broad side. That's what it feels like to land a bind on this. It's kind of sharp on your palm. But at that point, I really am nitpicking because it's just it's good yo-yo. At least consider trying it out. Like, it's literally such a good yo-yo that I'm considering selling another yo-yo I own just to get the bimetal version. And that's my honest thoughts. It's that good. And now I've said everything I needed to say. Thank you for watching. Brandon Vu, if you're watching, you made a good yo-yo. Be proud of it.